Today I'm going to be talking about taking a basic pant pattern that doesn't have inseam pockets and putting them in. This is great if you have a pattern you love, a skirt or a pair of pants, but it doesn't offer pockets. So this is a really easy way to add them in. I have drawn my own. Mine is 7 by 7. And you might actually want to draw a square box, and that might help you. So you square it all the way around 7 by 7, and then you can curve it within that line to make the pocket bag. You also want to make sure, if your hand's a little bigger than mine, that it fits inside the pocket. So you might want to add another inch or two depending how much room you want for your hand. And then remember, you will also need seam allowance on it to attach it to your pants and to attach it alongside the other pocket half. So I just want to bring this over here and show you guys. So there it is laying on my pant. So this is important why you need the edge to be straight. It needs to line up with your pant or skirt or whatever bottom shorts you're making that doesn't have the pockets. Okay, so I have cut out all my pieces. Here's my pocket. I'm going to use the actual pattern piece because it's hard to, I think, see it, the fabric on my camera. So these are my fronts that I have. And one thing to note is I have an all-in-one waistband. So my waistband is going to be 1.5 inches. So that's something that you need to allot for if you're adding a waistband or if it's already built in. You do not want to put the pocket obviously where your waistband is going to go. So you need to figure out how far down your waistband will sit, and then from that point, so I'm at 1.5 inches, how far down I want my pocket to go. And I've made these before, and so I'm going to just move mine down probably another inch. So I'll have my waistband, and then I'll have a little bit in between before my pocket hits. If you're unsure, you can kind of take a pair of pants that you like that are already made that are similar and kind of see how far down the pocket sits, and that could be a good guide for you. But it really does all depend on what your waistband is and how far then that pocket will sit down from it. So first things first, now that I have that done, I'm going to put a notch on all 4 of my pattern pieces, so my pocket will start at the exact same place on both my fronts and on the back of my pants. So I wanted to show you guys, there's my marker, so that's where I'm going to start all my pockets. Essentially, just jumping a step ahead, we are going to sew our right sides together. I find it really difficult, especially if you're new to sewing, to attach it and then try and serge or do this curve to finish the edges. So I am going to go ahead and finish all 4 of my pocket curves ahead of time. So I'm going to serge mine. You can serge, zigzag, however you're going to finish those. I'm going to go do that right now. I have went ahead and I serged all 4 of my pocket pieces, and now I am going to attach each one to the side seams of both of my fronts and both of my backs. Just a real quick note here, a lot of people ask me how I finish, if I need to finish the serging seam. you can just take a pin or a needle and undo it a little bit. I would cut this shorter, but just so you guys can see. And then you just undo it until you get to the bottom right here of where it is, and then you can just tie all 4 of those off by hand, and then that will finish it. It'll make it a lot sturdier that way too. You don't have to worry about it coming undone because it's knotted. So you're going to want to make sure that all of your marks, all your pocket lines match, because we don't want them not to line up correctly. So measure and then remeasure and double check that all 4 of them are at the exact same height from your waistband. And then you want to sew within your seam allowance. So if my seam allowance is a 1/2 inch, I want to make sure that I'm sewing that pocket within that 1/2 inch seam allowance. You don't want to sew it outside of your seam allowance. So the pocket line has to be attached within the seam allowance. And I will show you guys once I sew all 4 of those in. Okay, a little update here. So I just sewed right sides together at 3/8. My seam allowance is 5/8. I have my 2.5 inches down from my waistband, and then these are the fronts. So they'll look like little elephant ears on each side. And I'm going to go do exactly the same thing on my back. Okay, so I have sewn all my pocket bags on, and now we are going to finish the raw edge of all 4 sides of your fronts and backs, and then you're going to press your seam underneath this guy towards the pocket bag. So you'll take your iron and press the seam down towards the pocket bag. I've already done that. I'll just show you guys on these 3. So I serged all the way down, and then you can see it's nice and flat right here. Okay, so next you're going to, if I can get really close, you can see I've just done a straight stitch all the way down on the pocket side. And this is to help, you can see it right there, it's very tiny. This is to help when you put your pants together so that this part doesn't roll over. And you want to make sure that you catch this seam underneath it. So that's one of the reasons why we pressed towards the pocket, is to have that seam lay really flat. And then you just want to sew as close to the edge as you can get, like 1/8, and you want to be on the pocket side. So you don't see it because it'll be on the inside of the pocket. Okay, so we are on to the next step, which is we're going to pin and sew our front, one of your fronts and one of your backs together, whether it's shorts, pants, skirt. So I have pinned all the way down. And you are going to sew at your seam allowance. I'm going to be sewing at 5/8, starting up at the waist. I'm going to pivot or come down straight to where my pocket is, pivot at my 5/8, sew all the way around my pocket, pivot again, and come all the way back down my leg with the 5/8. And we're going to do that for both sides. So this is my front and back pinned of my pants, and then I will do the other front and back after I sew this one, and I'll show you. Okay, I have successfully sewn my front and back together. Um, so this is the back and the front of my pant, and then here is my inseam pocket. Yay, so exciting. It's really a game changer as far as like if you have a pattern, a skirt or a pair of shorts that you love and it doesn't have pockets. Just a really simple, easy way to put pockets into any kind of pattern that has that you connect at the side seam. So, okay, I'm going to sew up the other side and continue on with putting together my pants. So I decided to kind of make this a part two and just finish up the pants. And I just now am putting my right sides together, matching up my fronts and my backs of my pant. So, and then we're going to pin from the waistline all the way to the top of the crotch curve. We're not going to go and sew down. We're only sewing the curve, and we're going to do that on the front and on the back. So all the way down and to the curve, and we're going to stop right there. So I have finished sewing and serging up the curved hem on each front and back side, and then I just got done pinning the legs together. So I have my legs all pinned, and you're literally just going to sew the loop of the inner pant leg. So you're going to start and go all the way up and come back around and sew your pant legs together. One thing I do want to mention is a lot of people tend to want to trim up their hem while they're making the pants because it might not be even, but always wait until the very end until your pant legs are connected, just in case, and then you can kind of even them up if you cut a little bit off on one side where actually I did. Looks like I'm a little bit off. So you can trim them up at the very end after your pant legs are connected, because what could happen is they could shift a little bit when you're sewing or stretch a little bit, so they might be off, but you don't want to cut anything off until they're sewn together, so you don't accidentally cut off too much of the back or the front and then they're too short. Okay, so I'm going to sew those up and serge, and pants will be almost done. Okay, I am doing an all-in-one waistband, which means that it's just attached and all we're doing is folding it. In most waistbands, that are like that, you're going to fold it over and steam the bottom 1/4 of an inch, and then this I'm folding over and steaming again another inch and then 1/4. And then this ends up being your finished edge. So if you can see, here's my pocket. Then you'll just pin and you'll sew along that bottom edge and enclose it, and then we'll be ready to put in our elastic. My pockets are that I kind of made it so that the seam allowance went into it so they would stay towards the front. So just make sure when you're doing that that you pin your pockets towards the front so you don't accidentally sew them to the back. So it was just 1/4 of an inch folded under, and then another inch and 1/4 to make that waistband. Okay, so I have cut my elastic for my waistband. This is just a non-roll. I think it's an inch thick waistband for my elastic for my waistband in my pants. I leave an opening on the side when I go through it. That way you really don't see it. Even in the back, sometimes it might scrunch weird or something like that. That way, if you leave your opening on the side, it's guaranteed to be the least amount noticeable. So I'm going to just safety pin one end and pull it through, and then I'm going to check it. I always like to check that it fits okay before I close it up, and then close it up, and I'm about done. Okay, I am about to do my hem. I'm just going to do a rolled hem. So I am going to press up all the way around an inch, and then press up to that inch line, so it's like the other half, and then it'll just get rolled up like that. I don't usually like to serge the bottom and just flip it, just because I don't like seeing the serge at the hemline. So this is a nice, quick, easy way to hem your pants, and it's all finished. So I'm going to do that, and then I think we're done. So I just wanted to show a close-up. So as you can see, this was my first steam line right here. And so I steamed up a full inch, and then I just got done steaming up to that line, so it's my other half an inch, and then we're just going to fold it over and fold that over all the way around, and then that's our hem. So this is the inside of my pant. So super easy.